U.S. Border Patrol agents at the Texas-Mexico border made two interesting finds while searching vehicles on April 6th, resulting in the arrests of 3 people in 2 separate incidents. Customs and Border Protection agents at the Hidalgo International Bridge stopped a 68-year-old Mexican citizen attempting to cross into the United States for a second inspection. During the inspection, officers found 28 packages of cocaine hidden inside the vehicle. CBP officials seized the narcotics and the vehicle. Homeland Security investigations. Special agents arrested the driver and initiated a criminal investigation. The seized narcotics contained approximately 73 pounds of alleged cocaine stashed inside the man's Ford Explorer. Authorities estimate the narcotics to have a street value of approximately $980,000. The man was taken into custody by Homeland Security, and the cocaine was seized by CBP. Separately, a 20-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman, both U.S. citizens, were crossing into the United States through the Anzaldúa International Bridge when their vehicle was flagged by CBP agents for a second inspection. Upon investigation, officials discovered a spider monkey stowed inside a backpack in the vehicle. The 2 individuals were taken into custody, and the spider monkey was transported to Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville. The identities of the 3 suspects, however, have not been released by authorities. Our frontline CBP officers and agriculture specialists continue to remain vigilant as they conduct their inspections. Their attention to detail and inspection experience led to an interception of an endangered species and a significant narcotic seizure in 2 separate enforcement events. We remain committed to preventing the exploitation of protected animals and the spread of animal diseases. Seizures of narcotics also reinforce our continued commitment to our border security mission. A top Pentagon official said. U.S. Special Operations Forces don't have the green light to launch drone strikes on Mexican drug cartels, even though U.S. President Donald Trump labeled them foreign terrorist organizations. Speaking to a Senate committee on April 8th, Colby Jenkins, the acting Assistant Defense Secretary for Special Operations, clarified that the terrorist label alone doesn't give the military the power to attack cartels, that IT helps us unlock the doors, Jenkins said. But any direct military action would need more legal backing. The issue came up after Senator Alyssa Slotkin questioned whether Trump's designation could lead to military strikes, especially after Elon Musk, one of Trump's top advisors, suggested on social media that it could justify drone attacks. Jenkins pushed back, saying that while the military can now offer more options, it doesn't automatically mean strikes are on the table, that we're ready if more is needed to protect the border. Meanwhile, the U.S. Northern Command has stepped up surveillance flights along the U.S.-Mexico border and is sharing more intelligence with Mexican officials to track drug cartel movements and fentanyl smuggling. In February, the head of Northern Command, General Gregory Guillermo, told senators he plans to ask Congress for permission to expand cooperation between U.S. troops and Mexico's elite special forces. Trump's move to label drug gangs as terrorist groups announced back on February 19th. Was aimed at giving U.S. law enforcement extra tools to disrupt their operations. Earlier, an NBC report citing 6 current and former U.S. military law enforcement and intelligence officials claimed that the Trump administration is actively considering unilateral military strikes against Mexican drug cartels, and the options under discussion include drone strikes, missile attacks, and special operation raids conducted without Mexico's consent. The report said the discussions among White House, Defense Department, and intelligence officials, which are still in an early stage, have included possible drone strikes against cartel figures and their logistical networks in Mexico with the cooperation of Mexico's government. However, media reports suggest the Trump administration is weighing unprecedented action, both in the scale of U.S. personnel involved and in the possible use of American drones to target cartel leaders and assets. Administration officials and nominees have repeatedly declined to rule out drone strikes in public remarks, fueling speculation that such operations remain on the table. President Trump's nominee for ambassador to Mexico, Ronald Johnson, has also refused to rule out unilateral action. Similarly, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has privately warned Mexican officials that Washington may act alone if cartel violence and fentanyl trafficking are not brought under control. Both men have reiterated that all options are on the table. The idea is not new. In his memoir, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper revealed that Trump once asked whether the U.S. could fire missiles into Mexico to take out drug labs and deny we did it, while Trump's team denies that exchange occurred. The claim underscores the seriousness with which unilateral action is being explored. U.S. military officials and legal experts say the preference remains joint operations with Mexico's military and law enforcement. However, growing frustration with the pace of progress and cartel-linked deaths from fentanyl overdoses in the U.S. has pushed unilateral options closer to the center of policy discussions. The Mexican government has firmly rejected any possibility of unilateral U.S. military action on its soil, following reports that members of Trump's team are weighing strikes against drug cartels without Mexico's consent. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on April 8th that her nation would categorically reject any unilateral U.S. military in Mexico. But the current English intervention in currency is more "we do not agree" first, because we do not agree with any intervention or interference. This has been very clear. We coordinate, we collaborate. We are not subordinate. And no, there is no interference, nor these actions. Second, it would not resolve anything. Goodrich assembles while guitar is sexy on a Dumbo Christmas. We reject any of these actions, and we also do not believe they will occur because there is a lot of dialogue on security issues and many other topics that, so no, not in Mexico. Biden's comments were in response to a question about an NBC News report that Trump's administration is considering drone strikes on drug cartels in Mexico to combat trafficking across the country's shared border. She added that the U.S. and Mexico had a good, ongoing dialogue on security issues and that she did not think the U.S. would pursue such unilateral action.